First of all, very good morning to all of you, and welcome to this third class on Electricity Standard 10th CBSE. This video we are sharing on behalf of Ambition Vedic classes for education purposes only. And because this is our third class, I hope you people are enjoying the class and getting through all the definitions. In case you have any doubt or any problem, feel free to contact me. Do not hesitate to ask even a silly doubt. Okay, you are supposed to ask questions. If we don't ask questions, then we don't understand things. Okay, so in previous class basically we have studied with Ohm's law, and we have seen that Ohm's law says potential difference is applied across the ends of a wire. So if we have a wire and we are connecting that wire across a cell to the positive terminal and negative terminal of a cell, a potential difference is produced inside the wire. Okay, potential difference means difference of charges. At the positive terminal of a cell, more amount of charges or electrons are produced, and at the negative terminal of a cell, less amount of charges are produced. So we can consider it as a potential difference. So whenever a cell is connected or source of EMF is connected to a wire, a potential difference is produced across the ends of the wire, and this potential difference or this difference of potential is directly proportional to the current through the wire. Current is what? Current is nothing but electrons which are flowing through the wire constitute basically electric current. So higher the potential difference, more will be the more electrons will be moving through the wire. Okay, so if a small cell is replaced with a bigger cell which is having more power, so that, sorry, not power, more potential, so we will be creating a large, we will be making more electrons, large number of electrons flow through the wire, that constitutes basically electricity. So according to Ohm's law, the potential difference is directly proportional to the current. That is what we see, or what we saw in the previous class. Potential difference is directly proportional to current. As we increase the potential difference at the two ends of a wire, the current will also increase. So if we decrease the potential difference, the current will also decrease. But remember, the Ohm's law is applicable only under certain condition. That condition is we are not replacing the wire. We have to keep the wire, same wire we have to keep till the end of the experiment, and there should be no temperature change. We are not heating the wire or stretching the wire. So physical state of the conductor as well as temperature remains same. So from the Ohm's law, what we are able to get, potential difference of a wire is directly proportional to current if the wire is maintained constant, if the wire is maintained same throughout the experiment. Okay, in terms of symbols, we write it like this. So V is directly proportional to I, and mathematically we don't want this proportionality sign between V and I, so this proportionality sign is actually replaced by equal to and constant. Okay, and this constant is known as resistance of the wire, capital R. So this R is known as resistance of the wire. So according to Ohm's law, V is equals to I into R, where V is the potential difference between the two ends of a wire, and R is the resistance, and I is the current through the flowing through the conductor. Now what is resistance, that we will discuss little later, but before that we need to see, so resistance basically depends on material of the wire. If we choose the copper wire, or if we choose zinc wire, or if we choose iron wire, so for a different material this value of R will be different. It will never be the same. Okay, if we change the wire, the value of capital R changes. That is why we said in Ohm's law there is a condition, the wire has to be the same, plus we should not heat it. Fine. Now whenever we see this Ohm's law, we saw that V is directly proportional to I. So very importantly, whenever two properties, for example, this is one property which is called potential difference, and this is second property, current. So let's say this is X and that is Y. So whenever two things are directly proportional to each other, the graph between them is always a straight line. Remember, a straight line which is passing through the origin, right? So if X is directly proportional to Y, our graph should always be a straight line. Now the question is, why are we interested in a straight line, or this is called graphical representation. So how do we use this graphical representation to study the properties of an electricity or electrical wire or an electrical circuit? So just pay attention here. In order to get this graph, what we do is basically we are applying different voltage. Say for example, at one point we have applied one voltage. Once we took a small cell and we have applied a voltage, so current was this much, okay, and then we replaced it with a different voltage or different cell. So that cell is having more voltage, so it is producing more current. And then for third cell, we took a third cell and then it is producing this much of a current. So we obtained the coordinates. So this is first coordinate, second coordinate and third coordinate. And those who know math very well, in Cartesian coordinate system, in axis system, we basically represent any point with x coordinate and y coordinate values. Always the x coordinate or the value which is on x axis first and the value which is on y axis second, right? So this is a straight line. Now v is directly proportional to I, we know. Now there is second thing you need to know, that is something called slope of a line. Slope means what? Slope means inclination. How much this straight line which we have obtained using the Ohm's law, v is directly proportional to I, shows always a straight line which is passing through the origin. So the line that we have obtained by drawing it, okay, how much that line is inclined from the x-axis, okay, this inclination is basically given by slope of a line. Slope means inclination. It is also represented by some tan theta or angle. We can also measure this by an angle, the angle between the x-axis and this vertical line, or we can also calculate it like this. So slope of a line is always calculated by considering difference of values on y-axis divided by difference of two values on x-axis. It could be any two values, okay. So here as you can see, we have taken y2 minus y1. So by definition, slope of a line is nothing but difference of two values on x-axis divided by the difference of two values, difference of two values on y-axis divided by the difference of two values on x-axis. Now because at present on our y-axis there is voltage, so we are replacing it with V2 and V1, and on x-axis right now we have a current, so we will replace it by the value of a current, right? And as you can see, we have selected 2 points. First point is origin, and at origin the coordinates are x coordinate is 0 and y coordinate is 0. So at first point values are 0 comma 0, and at the second point you can draw a straight line from here, from any random point, and you can find out the value. So x coordinate is I2 and y coordinate is V2. And let's say we suppose V2 is equals to V and I2 is equals to I, and if we substitute here in this expression, so V1 is 0 and I2 is 0, we end up getting V by I, and according to Ohm's law, nothing but V by I is equals to R. So just by looking at the graph, by calculating its inclination, we can say what is the resistance of a wire. So slope of a line or a graph in V versus I graph always tells us resistance of the wire. Slope of voltage on y-axis versus current on x-axis always gives us the resistance. So simply just by looking at the graph, we can say we can calculate the resistance of the wire. Again, I'll repeat. So this is a graph between potential difference and a current, okay, because V is directly proportional to I, and whenever something is directly proportional to something else, that means directly proportional means if V increases, I should increase, and if I increases, V should increase, right? If V decreases, I also decreases. So they have the same behavior. Proportional means they have the same behavior. So whenever two properties have same behavior, or they are directly proportional to each other, the graph between the two properties will always be a straight line passing through the origin. Remember that. It will be very helpful in exams or competitive exams where you are going to participate in future. Fine. So, and this all the points corresponds to x coordinate and y coordinate. So we know that slope of a line is nothing but inclination, how much that line is inclined to the x-axis, and slope of a line is always calculated by difference of values or two values on y-axis divided by the difference of two values on x-axis. Here, because we have voltage and a current, we have taken voltage and current. First point that we have selected is origin. We can take any 2 point on this straight line. For the time being, for the ease of calculation, we are taking origin and the first point, second point. So by substitution, V2 is equals to V and I2 is equals to I. We get V by I is equals to R. So by plotting a graph between voltage and a current, we obtain basically the resistance of the wire or a conductor from with the help of Ohm's law. So now, as we already know that the slope of potential difference versus current graph, which is basically a straight line, gives us the resistance of a conductor. We'll see examples. First of all, let's say so we have the potential and potential difference versus current graph here. This is let's say using Ohm's law, we have obtained, keeping the wire same, for different potential differences we obtain different values of a current, and after connecting all the coordinates values of voltage and current, we obtain this graph. Now the slope of this line or inclination of this line will tell us if the line is very much inclined from the x-axis, that means it has very high resistance, okay, and if a line is close to x-axis, that means the resistance is very low and it is almost equal to 0. If the line is close to y-axis, that means it has very high resistance, right? So now let's take an example here, how we can simply, by looking at the graph, we can say which wire is having high resistance or low resistance. So let's say we have 3 wires. First wire here is A. For that we have obtained a graph using Ohm's law. For the second wire, as you can see here, B, this is again a straight line that indicates a straight line which is passing through the origin, which indicates that the wire, the second wire, also obeys Ohm's law. And the wire number 3, so C, wire C, which also is a straight line and obeys Ohm's law. So simply by looking at the graph of this plot, what we can say that inclination of straight line which corresponds to C is less than the inclination of a straight line B, which is further lesser than the inclination of line C. That means the straight line A is having the highest inclination compared to C and B. Okay, so we can say that the slope of A is the greatest, the slope of line B is less than A, and the slope of line C is basically smallest. So A is having the highest inclination or highest slope in comparison to the 3 wires. Now what we saw previously is slope of graph or straight line which is plotted between potential difference. I mentioned voltage earlier, but it is better to write potential difference. So potential difference and current graph, the slope of that graph always tells us resistance. So simply by looking at the three wires, we can say that the slope of C is smaller. That means the resistance of this wire is smaller compared to A. A is having the highest inclination here, so that means A is also having the highest resistance. So simply by looking at the figure, we can say the wire A is having high resistance, the wire C is having least resistance, and the wire B is in between. The resistance of wire B is between A and C. I hope it is clear to all of you. Any doubt, you can contact me anytime. Then now we have this graph. Now we'll see how to calculate basically the resistance of a wire from the values of potential difference and values of current in accordance with the Newton's in accordance with the Ohm's law actually. So now if we want to calculate the resistance of the wire, first we are checking the wire, is it straight or not. The wire is basically a straight line and which is also passing through the origin. That means V, potential difference, is directly proportional to I. You can see it from the figure also. As the potential difference increases, the higher value of a current we are getting. When the potential goes to 6, the value of a current also increases. So the potential difference, what does potential difference do? Potential difference basically makes, higher potential difference makes more and more electrons to flow through the wire. And what is current? Current is nothing but the number of charges, the total charge flowing through any given cross section area of the wire. So therefore, higher the potential difference, more number of electrons will flow through the wire, and therefore we should have a higher current. Now if we want to calculate what is the resistance of the wire from the plot, from the graph, then we have to first pick 2 points. We have selected here point number 1 and point number 2. So the coordinates will be x2, point number 2, and point number 3. So the coordinates of second point will be x2 y2 and x3 y3 on y-axis and x-axis. But here we have potential difference on y-axis and current on x-axis. So therefore we'll put it as I2. Value of I2 is how much? 1, and value of V2 on y-axis is how much? 2. Similarly, if you go to point number 3, I3 and V3, the value of I3 is x coordinate, if you can compare here. That means when we draw a straight line downwards cutting the x-axis, the point where the straight line intersects or cuts the x-axis will give us the value. Here it is 2. Similarly for voltage, it is 4. Now when we substitute in the formula, resistance means nothing but slope of a straight line which is passing through the origin in potential difference versus current graph, right? And then here we saw slope can also be calculated by taking difference of values, any two values on y-axis, and the difference of corresponding values on x-axis. So here we know V3 is 4 and V2 is 2, so and current is 2, I3 is 2 and I1 is basically 1. Similarly, if you see V3 is actually 4 and V2 is actually 2. So V2 minus 2, the resistance of the wire is how much? 2 ohms. So this is how we use the graphs to calculate the values and to give an idea, first of all, very importantly. Then this is assignment question. Actually, I would request all of you to go through it or solve it in your notebook or textbook, notebook or register, wherever you solve it. So look at the following graph and answer the following question. Such questions, they also appear in your exam, so this will be a practice actually. Does this graph obey Ohm's law? Now simply by looking at the graph, can we say that the graph obeys Ohm's law or not? Actually this graph is a straight line, but as you can see, if you take any point and you draw a straight line, you will see As the voltage is decreasing, the current is increasing, right? Which is not true with the Ohm's law. So this line basically does not obey Ohm's law. It do not follow the Ohm's law. Second question, what happens to the resistance of the conductor with increase in current? Now you can choose any 2 points and you should calculate. You will see the value would come in negative. Negative means decreasing. Whenever something comes with a negative sign, that means the value is basically decreasing. That you can check by calculating any two values, taking any 2 points. Now point number 3, calculate the resistance of the wire. So we know how to calculate the resistance of a wire, and then we can find out values from here. We can substitute in the expression for resistance is nothing but slope of a line. Even though it does not obey the Ohm's law, we can calculate the value of R, because it is a graph between potential difference and current. But this does not go with the Ohm's law. Okay, then from so far we have studied about what is resistance. Most importantly, we have been talking about resistance from so much of a time, but we don't know exactly what is resistance of a conductor. Fine. So what is resistance? Resistance means nothing but opposition to the flow of electrical charges, okay, flowing through the wire. So we know that what is current? Current is due to nothing but electrons, electrical charges flowing through the wire. These electrons which are moving through the wire, nothing but total charge, electrical charge per unit time, we call it as nothing but current. So when the electrons basically move through the wire, they are basically opposed. Opposed means what? Opposed means trying to stop. Okay, so when the electrons flows through the wire, there is something present in the wire which tries to stop the electrons. That is what is called resistance. Resistance means something which is trying to oppose us. If we are riding a bicycle in forward direction and the air is trying to push us back, what we do? We put more effort and we move in the forward direction. So the effort, that extra effort that we put, it is because the air is trying to resist us, air is trying to oppose our motion. Okay, so for this better explanation, we can come with this. Now what is this? This is nothing but a piece of a wire. See, this is upper portion, this is lower portion. Now you will be knowing that every material is made up of large number of atoms. As you can see, these purple dots basically represent atoms. So if you have a wire, and in that wire there will be large number of atoms, million, billions and trillions of atoms are present. Now these atoms actually they don't move, right? Instead, the electrons which are present in the outermost shell or valence shell, it is called, they start moving. So let's say if an electron is running at a very high speed from it is coming from the one end of the cell, and it has to reach to another end of a cell. From the positive terminal of a negative terminal of a cell, electron they are coming and they have to reach to the positive terminal, and we know that the direction of current is always opposite to the direction of flow of electrons. So if the electron is moving towards the right hand side, the direction of a current we take always in the left hand side, right? So an electron is coming from here. Now because this electron is running very fast, he is not able to see what is there in his path. So, and also you can consider it like that electron is blindfolded, is hiding his closing his eyes by putting a cloth on it. So if the electron is running very fast, he starts colliding. He first collides with one atom, then second atom, and by colliding with everyone, as you can see the path over here, so many collisions, million, billion, trillions of collisions are there, and then it reaches to an end. So every time basically the electron collide, its speed decreases and then it increases. Again it starts running very fast and then hits and stops there, and then again it starts running fast and then it stops. So there are so many collisions, these collisions, the number of collisions is nothing but trying to stop the electron. So this is what is called resistance. So whenever an electron is trying to flow through the wire, it undergoes collision. It strikes with the atoms which are present in the wire, and higher the number of collisions, greater will be the resistance. More time it will take for the electron to reach from one side of the wire to another side, right? That is why it is very important. I told you the nature of material. Okay. So the wire has to remain same. If you replace one wire with another wire, it is quite possible that the second wire will have more number of atoms, so greater will be the resistance. So I hope everyone is clear. Resistance is nothing but the collisions. Higher the number of collisions electron face, higher will be the resistance of the wire. Now the resistance of any material, it depends on many things, not only the number of atoms. So this is called factors affecting resistance. So what are the things that increase or decrease resistance of the wire? Fine. Wire is generally a good conductor because it is allowing a current or electron to pass through it. So number one, it is length of the wire. Right now we have discussed that resistance is nothing but number of collisions, right? So even if the number of atoms present in the wire is very less, if you take a longer wire, that means the longer wire will be having large number of atoms, because a very lengthy or long wire is having large number of atoms, and electron has to undergo collision several million billion times, right? So that means nothing but high resistance. So bigger the length of the wire, higher is the resistance. The second important thing is cross section area, right? A very good example of cross section area will be a bus. If a bus is completely filled and if we want to try fit into, then what we have to do, we have to squeeze it. We have to use our elbow to push someone and get through someone, and then we enter. Okay, so if the cross section area of the wire is less, the resistance is more. If the space is less, we have to put lot of effort to get into the bus. But if the bus is completely empty, it takes us less effort. So resistance here we can consider as effort or energy that we put to get into the bus. That means if the area is larger, the resistance is less. Nobody is there to stop us, right? And if the area is more, then resistance is very less. In empty bus, no one is there to stop us, so we can easily get into the bus. Third thing is material. Depending upon the wire that we have taken, is of which material, whether it is of gold or whether it is of copper or platinum or zinc or any material, depending upon of which material the wire is, the atoms sometimes they are close and the atoms they are sometimes away. So if the atoms are very close, number of atoms will be too much in the wire, and if the atoms are far away from each other, then the number of atoms will be less. So resistance keeps on changing from material to material depending upon number of atoms present. Actually it is called density, but I'll keep it as easy. So we have number of atoms present. Now fourth very important term is there is something called temperature, and I guess it might not be there in your course, but you will see it also depends on temperature. With increase in temperature, resistance also changes. Okay, so just remember these 4 points: length of the wire, cross section area of the wire, material of the wire, and temperature. So what we have seen is resistance increases with increase in length of the wire. That means the resistance is directly proportional to the length of the wire. If we take a bigger wire, large number of atoms, so high resistance. If we take a smaller wire, so less number of atoms and less resistance. So resistance depends on length of the wire. Fine. Second, we have seen the resistance is inversely proportional to cross section area. Now what is that cross section area? We have taken the example of a bus. Okay, if area is very big, yani ki it is empty, the resistance is less. That means high area offers less resistance and low area offers more resistance. So resistance is directly proportional to length, and resistance is also inversely proportional to the cross section area, right? We already know that resistance is directly proportional to length and resistance of inversely proportional to cross section area. So now from here we know that these two, R is proportional to length, and if we combine them together we end up getting R is equals to some constant. See, R is equals to length divided by cross section area. But in our expression, because we don't want this proportionality sign is always replaced by is equals to and constant. So we end up getting R is equals to constant L by A. This capital L I have written here just to make sure that it is clear to us. You can write small l, capital, it doesn't matter, right? Okay, so length of the wire or cross section area. Now this constant comes from the nature of the material, right? This is called rho, RHO. This is known as rho. This rho is called resistivity of a material, which we will discuss in our next class, sorry. So R is equals to what? R is equals to rho. Remember, rho is always a constant. It depends on material. If we have a copper wire, for a copper wire rho is constant. Then for if you take a zinc or gold or platinum wire, then it will be constant for each of them. So R is equals to rho into L divided by A, or we can represent it like this. So rho is nothing but resistivity of a material, which depends on nature of which material that wire belongs, and this R is known as resistance of the wire, and the resistance of a material is always measured in a unit which is called ohm, OHM. It is after the name of a scientist basically. So in today's class we have seen two things. One is what is Ohm's law, how to use graphical representation to infer, to collect information directly instead of using so many calculations. Then there is some again assignment questions you can practice by yourself at home. What is resistance? Resistance is nothing but opposition. Anything which is trying to stop the electron flowing in the wire is called resistance. Second, what are the factors affecting length of the wire, cross section area, material of the nature of the material, and also the temperature. Then how can the resistance of a conductor be changed? If I want to change the resistance of a conductor, what is the process? What is SI unit of resistance? And an extra question that I would like to put here, you can check your notebook or some other material from the internet. What is a resistance, a reciprocal of resistance called? What is reciprocal? So that means R, if capital R is resistance, what is 1 upon R called? That I would like you people to find out. So thank you very much, and please ask any doubts if you have in the group.